cycle and how it affects the Earth.
So now let's start first with the water cycle. Now let's start at the ocean. When the ocean gets heated up, like it would on a stove when water heats up, it would evaporate. This can also go through many other ways, like through trees and plants. It would be called transportation. Now eventually this all condensates and creates clouds. Eventually it will go, like now we would see it on land, but it would just rain, it would evaporate, it would precipitate, sorry. It would precipitate, sometimes it will crystallize and create snow, and then eventually it will create land flow down back to the deepest points like oceans and aquifers.
So the effects on geology. The water cycle also affects the Earth and its features through the process of erosion. And erosion has to do with soil and rocks getting jumbled up and move, and through wind and rain. And this also helps to create many landscapes as we know today, such as the Grand Canyon.
And also, when water tries to go down due to gravity, it creates aquifers, which is an underground storage of water. So right here we have a cave with water in it. For example, like the Lossy, that just down the road.
So the effects on the past and the future. The water cycle has also created things such as glaciers, and this has shaped our landscapes, and the water cycle has had a huge effect on the world in the past through Pangea, and it's also affecting the future by the melting process of glaciers, like I said, in Antarctica and Greenland, and they're adding more water to this ocean and creating sea levels to rise.
And these can have big effects like the Grand Canyon, to really small effects like just Pistol Creek down there. And so really, it can have some of the most microscopic to some of the largest things in our world that shape our world still today.
Hands-on activity. If y'all want to come over.
Yeah, around. Come on. People in the back.
Okay, so in the first part of this, we all know that we're going to start with rain. So when the water precipitates on mountains, or mud mountain, it creates runoff, and that is when erosion happens, and that's how we create little streams and things.
So, as we see it, the precipitation, it finds ways to get down to this, for example, the ocean. Now you can see it has created some roots like through here, and eventually over time as it precipitates, it would create a river in that area. It also, you can see it go off there. And then you don't see it really go over, so that is an aquifer down there. And so eventually it just comes out, and it all eventually goes out to the ocean.
And after this has happened, evaporation happens, and that's when the sun comes into play. And the sun helps the water to condensate into clouds, and it also just creates and helps the cycle to keep eternally moving.
And so this is very important. So like the Mississippi River, if we didn't have this water cycle, we wouldn't have it, because it has to take time for water to form into rivers and streams. So like you can kind of make out that it's going that way, but it won't make a river instantly. It would have to go through this process over and over again, and it would soon create a river. So now temperature would affect ocean currents. So now, as we see here, this is a picture of ocean currents. This red line here is the hot ocean currents, which would move one direction. Now, due to temperature, warm water always stays to the top, and when it's cold, it always stays to the bottom. So now here we have the warm, and then we have a cool areas. So eventually, when it gets colder, this warm water can go into lower, deeper places. And so this helps with the ocean current. So we usually think that an ocean current only goes one way, like the Pacific, it goes like that, and eventually goes into